So the fourth module is about arrays and strings. And the course outcome which maps is demonstrate the use of arrays, strings, and structures in C language. Okay. So these are the contents we are going to cover. That is introduction to arrays, of one three-dimensional or four-dimensional arrays also. Okay, because as per your syllabus and the questions that will be asked to you based on one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays. Then definition and initialization of string and inbuilt string functions. So these are the topics we are going to cover today in our lecture with respect to the fourth module. Now let us start with arrays. So what do you mean by array? Okay, till now you have used variables in C where you have declared a variable and that variable was capable of storing only a single value. But now you have arrays which can store a group of data. Okay, it can store group of data, but the only condition is
check
data
check gachar check.
Whoever is please see that all of you have unmuted your mics. Please unmute your mic so that you can hear to me clearly. Is everyone able to hear? Please unmute, all of you. Okay. So as you can see, in variable, you are able to store only a single data. Okay. If you have created a variable of integer type and you declare it as a, you can see that you are going to store a single integer value into that a.
Hello.
Fine. But if you want to store multiple
Hello. 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 Can I get some more, yeah? ये मेरा
Okay, so am I audible? In case if anyone has any query, okay, what you can do is you can just raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so we are starting with arrays. So as I told you that if you have normal variables, in variables you have to store only a single data. Okay, you can store a single data. For example, if you have an integer variable, you can store a single integer value. Whereas there are certain applications where you need to store data in groups. Okay, or you can say a group of data items. Okay, they could be either numerical data, they could be either character data or float data. Okay, but all of them will be sharing a common name. Okay, whereas in case of variables, if you use the different values, each variable would have a different name. For example, if you wanted to store value 10 and then you wanted to store value 20, you may be taking different variables having different name. For example, A would hold the value 10, B would hold the value 20. But now, if you want a single data type, data belonging to a single data type to be stored under a common name, you can do that using arrays. Okay. So the elements of the arrays, okay, although they are having a common name, but the elements of the arrays can be differentiated from one another by their position. Okay, what do you mean by position? Position is the place where the value of that particular value is stored. Okay, so if in an array you are storing multiple elements, for example, if you're storing 10, 20, and 30, and you want to access the element which is 30, okay, you can differentiate it from 20 and 10 by the location of that array, or you can say the position within the array. Okay, so in when you define an array, you will be having, each element will be having a different position. So let us see that. So each element, each array element is referred by a name. Okay, and you have in a square bracket the subscript, that is the position of that array. Okay, so for example, if you are having an array, okay, of 10 elements, okay, if you're having array of n elements, that means you're having an array which is holding n values, n number of values. But how will you differentiate each value from the other value? Depending on the what? This is the subscript. Depending on the subscript. The subscript indicates the position of a particular element. That means x of 1 will give you the first element in the array x. This will give you the second element in the array x. This will give you the third element, fourth element, up to the nth element. Okay. So the value which you are writing in the square bracket is the subscript value. Okay. And this is how you write the, you can say the position of that element. Okay. By using a subscript. Okay. So as I told you, you are having two types of arrays, single dimensional and multi-dimensional. In multi-dimensional, you could have two-dimensional arrays, three-dimensional arrays, and so on. Okay. So for your exam, you will be having questions related to only two-dimensional arrays. Three-dimensional arrays, however, we will see in the lecture, and I will also show you how you can initialize them. Okay, but they will not be asked in the exam. Okay, so let us come to a single dimensional array. First of all, when you are using an array, you need to declare it and define it. Okay, so let us see the declaration of array. The array can be declared in the same way in which you have declared variables. Okay, but the array name must have a specific size. Okay, how do you declare a variable? You just write the data type and the variable name. Okay, similarly, you are going to write the data type and the array name. What is additional is you are going to write in the bracket the size of the array. Okay, so this much part is clear to you. How do you write a variable? You write the data type and the name of the variable. For an array, what you're going to write? The data type and the array name. What is additional is the size of the array. Okay, so this is the way you declare a single dimensional array. Okay, so you can see here type means the data type, array name means the name of the array. Okay, and in square bracket you are writing the size. Okay, so for example, if I want to have an integer array of size 100, I will write it as int, which indicates the data type, x, which is the name of the array, and in square bracket I will write the size of the array, that is 100. What do you mean by 100? 100 means it is going to store 100 integer values. Okay, that means it is going to store 100 elements. Okay, now I told you that these elements, okay, although all these 100 integer values, they are having a same variable name. Okay, all of them are having the variable, are stored in variable x. But how will you differentiate these elements? You will be differentiating it by the index position. Okay, by the position. Now, what do you mean by the position? Every element will be given a position starting from 0. Okay, all the index position starts from 0 up to 99. Okay, that means all the 100 elements will be having some position starting from 0 to 99. Okay, so we will see with the help of program how you are going to do it. Okay, so now as I told you that these positions are shown by subscript. Okay, the subscript is used to declare the array, and it gives the position, or you can say the dimension for the declaration, and it is referred to as dimensioning. Okay, so if anyone asks you how you are going to get the array positions, is by using the subscript. And how do you write the subscript? In square brackets. Okay, so the dimension used to declare an array must always be a positive integer constant. Okay, that means whatever value you will be writing in the square bracket as a subscript. Okay, not the size. Okay, the subscript will be a positive integer constant. Okay, and this is one example where you are writing uh, the name of the array I, and the 20 is the index position. Okay, which is a positive integer constant, and at this position you are having this integer value, that is 1234. Okay, that is 1230, right? Okay, so individual array elements can be referred by means of subscript. Okay, and how do you write the subscript? In square brackets. Okay, and always in C language. Okay, so these subscript, this concept of arrays you can use in other languages also, in Java as well as other languages. But in C, the subscript begins with 0. Okay, mostly in all the languages, the subscript will begin with 0. Okay, so the valid value of the subscript will be from 0 to n minus 1 if you are having n elements. Okay, if you are having n elements in the array. Yes, so here you can see here. So if I declare an integer array of size 4, so can you see now these positions? Yes, now is the picture clear to you, whatever I have told you? So I have this variable a, which is of integer type, which is capable of storing 4 elements. Okay, and these elements will be stored in different positions, and these positions are identified by the subscripts. Okay, the subscript will always start with the 0, okay, up to n minus 1. Okay, so for example, your n over here is 4. So your subscript will be from 0 to n minus 1, that is 3. Everyone has understood single dimensional array, how you are initializing. Okay, so now when you are initializing the one dimensional array, there are certain rules which you have to keep in mind. Okay, so before using and accessing an array, variable must be declared. Okay, so this rule is common. This rule we use for the variable also. Before we are using a variable, we have to declare it first. So similarly, if you are using an array variable, then you have to declare it before using it. The array index always starts from 0 and ends at n minus 1, or the size minus 1. Okay, so for example, if you have array of size 10, okay, that means it is having size 10. So the indexing will be from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, that means 0 to 10 minus 1, that is 9. Okay, so, and we must always include the data type and the variable name while declaring a array. Okay, that means if you are declaring an array, you have to write the data type and you have to give that array a name. Okay, so this is similar to declaring variables. Okay, so we can initialize them explicitly, that is, we can initialize them when we are declaring within square bracket. Okay, and or we can give it during runtime. Okay, so both are, I will show you how you can initialize during compile time and how you can initialize it during runtime. And each element of the array is stored in a contiguous memory location with the unique index number for accessing. What do you mean by contiguous memory location? Can anyone tell me? Contiguous means one after the other. Suppose if this is my RAM, okay, if this is my RAM and it is having some memory locations, right? So this is, I'm representing the RAM and this I'm representing as memory location. So for example, I'm having array of size 3. Okay. So I declare array of size 3. Okay. And I give it some value. Okay. So for example, I'm giving it value 3, 6, and 9. Okay. So this is how I initialize an array. So for example, I've initialized, that means this array is holding some value. Now these 3, 6, and 9 will be at some location, memory location, right? So for example, if I say 3 is here, I cannot put 6 here. Okay, I have to put 6 after it and 9 after it. Okay, in a continuous manner. Okay, what do you mean by contiguous memory? Is the very next location will be allocated to the next element. That means I cannot have 3 here and 6 somewhere here and 9 somewhere here. Okay, that cannot be done because the memory allocation will be contiguous. That means a continuous block of memory. Okay, this is continuous block of memory. Okay, or in case if this is occupied, okay, it will have some continuous block here, okay, where I can store 3 elements, that is 3, 6, 9. So I will get this as a continuous block. So whichever continuous block is available in the RAM will be allocated. Why? Because in array the storage is a contiguous memory location. Okay, and then I can give the array index position starting from 0 to the first element up to n minus 1, that is 2. Okay, 0 to 2. So wherever I get memory location, for example, if this is occupied by some other data, some other process, then if I get this, so it will be stored here, but it has to take care that it has to be a contiguous memory location. Fine. The next is initialization of array. Okay, so you can initialize your array by at the time of declaration or later on also. Okay, so array can be initialized when it is declared by giving some values, and array can be initialized at the time of declaration where the initial values are known in advance. Okay, so if you are doing it at the time of declaration, then you know the values of the array, but when you are doing it at runtime, you do not know the value of the array. Okay, so what are the values? So here in this case, we have integer array of size 5. So that means I'm going to have 5 elements in my array. This is how I initialize it. I write the data type, the name of the array, the size of the array in square bracket, and I give it some values. These values have to be written in curly brackets. Okay, so since it is an integer array, I'm going to store 5 integer values. So this is how I have initialized an array by giving it some initial value. Okay, so now what is the index position of this 4? It is array 0. Okay, so now here this 0 is not the size. Okay, this 0 here is the subscript which indicates the Okay, here this is a subscript. Okay, this you can call it as a subscript. Subscript means it is giving you the location. Okay, so what is this? This is the location in the array. Okay, then 6 is at 1, 5 is at 2, 7 is at 3, and 2 is at 4. Okay, so these are going to occupy contiguous memories, or you can say contiguous bytes in the memory. Okay, similarly now you can declare a float array. So here you can see I have declared a float array of size 6, and I'm going to have 6 values starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm having 5 values: 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got it? Yes. So 5 values, 6 values starting from 0 to 5. Okay. So I start with the 0th location up to the 5th location. Okay. So the integer array is declared in this manner. Whereas if you're having a float array, you have to write the float data type, the name of the array, and the size of the array, and initialize it to some value. Okay, but all you have to remember is all these values, since it is array, the compiler will reserve contiguous bytes in the memory to hold these values. Okay. Then the array size need to be specified explicitly when the initial value is included. Okay, now this was in this example where you have seen that the size of the value was given at the time of declaring the array. Although you initialized it, but you have declared the array and you have given the size of the array. But it may happen that you want the size of the array to be automatically set. Okay, the size of the array to be automatically set wherein you do not have to specify this size. So in that case, you can write the data type, the name of the array, and keep this square bracket, that is the size of the array, as empty. Okay, and now you are storing, you can see here you are storing 6 elements. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements are there, right? Yes. So if you see here, how will you store this? Okay, how it will be taken? It will have array. It will be a contiguous memory. So you'll have 1, you'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Now the size is not being given. Okay, but you know that the size is 6. Okay, the range, the index position starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 5. Are you getting? These are the index position. The size of the array is automatically taken. How does it take automatically? By looking at this bracket. Okay, similarly for float x also, the size is not given. It will automatically adjust to this size. Okay, how it is automatically doing it? By looking at the number of values by which it is initialized, by looking at the number of values by which it is initialized. Okay. Yes, so in this case you are having 4 elements, and in this case you are having 6. So the size of this array is 6 and this array is 4. Okay, how do you come to know the size? By the number of values by which it is initialized. Okay. Yes, so if I want to access this element, Okay, if I want to access this element, I have to access it by the name of the array and the index position. So what is the name of the array? Digit. Okay, what is the name of the array? Digit. And what is the index position? 0. Okay, and in this index position, what is the value? The value is 1. So if I want to access this value, I'll have to use the index position along with the name of the array in square bracket. Okay, so similarly, if I want to find what value is at the fifth index, okay, that means digit 5. Okay, digit 5 will give me this value which I require, that is 6. Got it? Okay, so this is how you are going to write the or automatically get or automatically set the size of the array. Now the array can be initialized as follows. So can you see this example here? This is another example where you can see that you have initialized the size up to 10, but you are not having 10 elements. Okay, you may have up to only 6 elements. You can see here there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this also is fine. Okay, this is not wrong. This is also valid. Why? Because you have given the size more, but you have just taken a few elements which fits into that size. Okay, so you can have a size little more, but we usually avoid it to in order to save memory. Okay, because if you take size 10, okay, that means you are going to take the size as 10 in your memories. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you are declaring an array, I told you always array will get a contiguous block of memory. Okay, but now you are only using some part of it. Okay, maybe you have just filled only so many elements. Okay, you have only filled with so many elements. The remaining part gets wasted. Why? Because when you declared this array, when you initialized, this contiguous block was given to you, in which you are wasting this part. Okay, this part is getting wasted. Okay, but you don't just give the size as 100 and you use only 5. Okay, but you may give the size as 6 to 7 and you may use 5. Okay, just to avoid uh, error. Okay, so what type of error you can encounter, we will see that. So here I have array of size 4 storing these values, and these are the index position. So this is what you have seen. But now suppose if I want to print these values, all these values are residing at different index positions. Okay, 4 is at index 0, 3 is at index 1, 2 is at index 2, 1 is at index 3. But I want to print these values individually. How will I print it? Okay, I can print it by using the index position. Okay, so for example, I'm having an array. You can see here, what is the name of the array? It is nums. Okay, the name of the array is nums. The size is 3. Okay, the size is 3, as you can see, and it is having values 0, 1 and 2, I told you always, if you want to print this value 0, 1 and 2 as the output, okay. So this you have done as a compile time initialization. I told you here you have already initialized the array at compile time. Okay, that means when you are compiling the code, you already the values are being your array has been initialized with some value. Now you have to print this. I always told you you can access these individual elements by using the index position. So what are the index positions? 0, 1 and 2. Okay, and this array is of size 3. Fine. So now if I want to print 0, I will have to access this nums of 0. So I will get 0 here. If I want to print 1, I will use nums 1. If I want to print 2, I will use nums 2. Okay. So I get the output as 0, 1 and 2. Similarly, if I want to give the initialization or do the initialization at runtime, okay, then I have to use something different. So let's see what you're going to do there. Now I have this nums, okay, this is a array variable. How do I know it is an array variable? Because it is having the size of the array. So I have 5 here. This is the size of the array. That indicates that I have to have 5 contiguous locations or positions. Okay, that is 0 to 4. Now I'm not initializing here. Here I have just done the declaration. Here I have just done the declaration. Okay, I'm not going to initialize. Why? Because I'm going to initialize this at runtime. That means I'm going to take the values of this array from the user after running the program. Now, if you see here, these index positions are different, right? So to access these individual index positions, in order to get some values into these positions, you need to use a for loop, which is going to start from the index position 0 and it is going up to less than 5. That means up to 4. Yes, can you see here? Less than 5, and it is going to increment every time. And scanf means it is going to take value from the keyboard by the user and store it in the ith position. So first time the index position is 0, it is going to take some value. Okay, so for example, the user enters 2, so it will take 2. Then again it will increment I. For the second time, the value of this I is now become 1. So now your index position is 1. Okay, user will enter some value from the keyboard. For example, he has entered 6. It will increment I, again go to the next position. Now I is incremented to 2. It is going to enter some value. For example, he has entered 7. Again, it is going to increment. What is the array index position now? 3. Okay, 3 is less than 5, right? So it will execute the loop. It is going to take some value. For example, it takes 8. Okay, user enters 8. Again, it is going to increment. The value becomes 4. 4 is less than 5. So it will execute the loop. Fine. So the user maybe enters the value 10. Okay. Now it again increments. Now the value becomes 5. Okay. So this condition becomes false. So your for loop will come outside. So now I have filled in all the values of the array. Okay. So if you are taking the value at runtime, you have to use this for loop. Okay. Why? Because you have to fill in each individual index position of this array. Okay. Now I've taken the values from the user and I have put it into the array. Now I want to print it. Okay, now I want to print these values on the screen. So again, I have to access these elements. So to access these elements, again, I have to use another for loop, which is going to do the same thing. Okay, it is going to access from 0 up to 4. Okay, that means the condition 1 I less than 5, and it is going to print these values in this order, that is 2, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Okay, using the for loop in similar manner. Okay, it will start with array index position 0. 0 is less than 5, so it will print the value. So right now, what is the value? 2. So it is going to print this 2 and increment. Okay, once it increments, it checks whether I is less than 5. This is the value of I, right? Every time it is less than 5, so it is going to print the next element. What is this? 6 here. Whatever element is present here, it will print. Again, it is going to increment. So now you are having the array index position 2, which is less than 5. So it will print 7 because 7 is available there. And then it will increment to the next index position, that is 3, which is less than 5. So again, it is going to print the element which is that index position 3, which is 8. And then it is going to again increment, come to the index position I, which is equal to 4 now. So at 4 you have 10. It is going to print 10. Again increment. Now the value of I becomes 5, and array index 5 is not available. Okay, and my for loop condition also becomes false. So it will come outside the for loop and go to the next state. Okay, so this is how you can do the runtime initialization and access the array elements. Okay. Now, as I told you that suppose if you are having elements which are not existing in the array. Okay, that means if there is a non-existence of any element in the array, you have to, that means it is considered illegal to access a non-existing element in the array. Okay, so C does not check for array overflow. Okay, so it is the programmer's responsibility to ensure that whatever subscript they are using, okay, does not cross the upper limit. Okay, for example, can you see here? I have taken array of size 5. Okay, this is how I have done the declaration. What does this indicate? This indicates that I'm going to have 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this will be the 0th position. This will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, and this will be 4. But later on in the program, what I'm going to do, I want to initialize the array at index position 5, which is equal to 105. Okay, and which array index position I'm taking? 5. So is array index position 5 available here? No, it is not available. Why? Because the size of array is 5 and the range of index is from 0 to 4 only. That means I'm not having the 5th over here. I'm not having 5 over here. There is no place here available. Are you getting? And I'm trying to put this 105 at this position. Okay, so this is illegal. So whenever you're writing the program, if you have taken the size as 5, you know that the index position will be last up to 4, not 5. Okay, so this is illegal if you are taking index position 5 in this case. Okay, So it is the duty of the programmer to check the index position which you are using. Okay. So you should take care of that, because that situation is called as array overflow, and it will give you a error. Okay. Now you have to see that after you have declared an array, you have initialized an array, and you have seen that how you are accessing the array elements, you should be able to process an array. For example, if A and B are two arrays of similar data type and similar size, okay, then uh, for example, if you are comparing the two arrays, okay, it is done element by element. Okay, that means this is done with the help of a loop, for loop, which I explained to you earlier. Okay, with the help of for loop. So whenever you are processing an array, that means whenever you are doing some operation on array, the operation is done on element by element basis. Therefore, you have to use a loop to process the elements. Okay, you cannot do without a loop. Okay, so number of passes through the loop will be equal to the number of array elements which are going to be processed, and the value of the index will be incremented from 0 to n minus 1. This is how we do it, and this is what I have showed you here. Okay, in this case. So you have seen a single dimensional array, how we are using and processing it. Now what I want you to do is, I want you to write a program, okay, of taking maybe 5 marks or 5 values from the user, okay, and printing it. Okay, so you can take either 5 marks or 5 values. I will also show you I will help you out with the code. So all of you, please, in your notebooks, see that you are writing. So I have this okay program in which you are taking 5 values from the user and storing them in the array. Okay, so how you are going to do it, how you are going to just write a program. Okay, you take any random 5 values. I will explain to you this code once you have done it. Okay, so once you have done it, just you could raise your hand. I will just unmute. You can raise your hand once you have finished. So you just have to declare an array of size 5. You have to take these values, 5 values or 5 marks, you can say, from the user and print those values. Okay. So do it fast. Yes, you can do that online also. You can quickly do that online. Am I audible now? Anybody? You can put in the chat box. Okay. So you have to write a program for entering 5 marks. Okay. And you have to display those 5 marks using array. Okay. So how do you write this program? You write an integer array, and you name of the array we have taken here as values because we want 5 values, and the size of the array I have given as 5. What I have to ask the user to enter the values. The user is going to enter at individual index position. So to do that, I have to use a for loop. I told you array index position always starts with 0 and it is going up to n-1. Okay, that means it has to be less than 5. So it could be 4. And I have to increment I. So it is going to take the values one by one. And now I want to display it. So it is going to use another for loop to display it one by one. So I hope everyone has understood this code. It is similar to the one which we did here. Okay. This code. Okay. So we have taken 5 values and we have displayed 5 values. Fine. So let's get back. Okay. So now we start with multi-dimensional arrays. So multi-dimensional arrays mostly you will be using in applications like creating matrix, doing matrix multiplication, and so on. Okay. So in various other applications, you require multi-dimensional array. So in C language also, you are having a 2-dimensional array, which is going to have some rows and some columns. So what do we mean by rows? Okay, these are the rows and these are the individual columns. Okay. So if I say a 2-dimensional array, what do I mean by a 2-dimensional array? A 2-dimensional array means a 2-dimensional array means I'm having rows and columns. Okay. So it is going to be a 2-dimensional array. So here in this case, I'm having 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay. The array can be declared by passing values of number of rows and columns. So here you can see now in single dimensional array, you just had the size in terms of 1 square bracket. Now here you have 2 square brackets. One is giving you the size of the rows, that is the number of rows, and this gives you the number of columns. Okay, this will give you the number of columns. So as you can see here, the rows, okay, the rows are 3. Okay, the rows are 3 and the columns are 4. Okay, so that is what you have written here. So a multi-dimensional array can be declared as, okay, so you can declare a multi-dimensional array in the following way. That is, you write down the data type, you write down the name of the array, In the first square bracket, you will write the number of rows. In the second square bracket, you will write the number of columns. Okay, so this is how you are declaring a multi-dimensional array. That is, in this case, in our case, we are having rows and columns. So it is two-dimensional. Fine. But now see how you are going to initialize this multi-dimensional array. So in this multi-dimensional array, the values can be initialized in form of groups. Okay, so can you see here, you are having different groups here. So if you see here, you are having different groups here. So can you see this in form of groups? Okay, each group will correspond to the row. Okay, and these groups you have to write within curly brackets. So the value which is inside the curly brackets will be the elements of the row. Okay, yes. So can you see here, I have an integer array of 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so this is the data type, this is the name of the array. The number of rows I'm having is 3, the number of columns I'm having is 4. Now how do I initialize it? Okay, so I can initialize in two ways. Either I can form groups. Okay, I can form groups like how I have done here. What do these group indicate? These group indicates that this is one row, the values of one row, this is the value of another row, and this is the value of another row. Okay, that means this is the value of first row, this is the values of second, and this is the value of third rows. Okay, and each row will start with array index position 0 to 3. So okay, 0 1 2 3, 0 1 2 3, 0 1 2 3. Fine. Yes, yes, is that clear? Yes, so these are actually nothing but the column values. Okay, that is, the size of the column is 4. Fine, and this is the rows. Okay, so the value, the number of rows is 3 and the column is 4. Okay, or what you can do is you can directly put all the values in a single bracket. Can you see here, I've used a single bracket instead of grouping them into row wise. I've already put the values. How many values it is going to take? I know that it is going to take 12 values. So I have just populated this bracket with 12 values. It is going to take these values in the first row, these in the second, this in the third. So it is going to enter the values always row wise. Okay, so I know that I have created this matrix. I'm knowing the size of this matrix. Okay, so I know that this matrix will contain 12 elements. Okay, because the size is 3 by 4. So I'm going to have 12 elements. So I can just write the 12 elements in a single bracket. These values will be taken row wise. Okay, so this is how you initialize a multi-dimensional array. Fine. So this is a much better view where you are having 3 rows and 4 columns, and they will hold 12 elements. So this is the 0th row and the 0th column, 0th row, first column, 0th row, second column, 0th row, third column. Okay, so this is how it is going to enter the values one by one. Okay, now there are different ways I told you to initialize a 2D array. For example, what I can do is I can either use the grouping method as we have seen here. So this is the grouping method. I have grouped according to the rows because I know that I'm having 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so I'll form a group of 3 elements into a single group. Okay, so this will contain 3 elements, that is the number of columns, and the number of rows are going to be 2. This is one way. Another way is in which I know that the columns are 3. Okay, yes, and if I do this grouping, so it is already understood that the number of rows will be 2 because this group I have created indicates the number of rows. So what I need to do is I need not write the number of rows here. Okay, so can you see this? I have kept this bracket empty. Why? Because I have indicated the number of rows here by grouping. Yes. Similarly, I can skip the number of columns. Okay. Yes, by writing the number of elements. Is that clear? Yes. And the other method is by just writing everything that you know. You're having a 2 by 3 matrix. That means you're going to have 6 elements. So you write all the 6 elements in a single bracket. Okay, so this is the method of initializing a 2D array. So I hope everyone has understood how to initialize one-dimensional array, access elements of the array, how to declare a two-dimensional array, and initialize a two-dimensional array. Yes. Also, I told you that we may not be having uh, three-dimensional array for exams, but you can create three-dimensional arrays also. Okay. So this is how you actually do it. So you can initialize a three-dimensional array in the similar manner in which you have done for the two-dimensional array. But here, since it is a three-dimensional array, you'll have to mention the 3 dimensions. Now, in this, you will have that this will indicate that you have these are the values of uh, this is the first 2 values which you are having. This 2 indicates, and each of them will be having 4 values. This is indicated by this, and each of them will be having 3 groups which is indicated. Okay, so can you see this entire bracket, that you are having 3 groups in each of them, that this will be indicated by this one. Okay, so if you want to initialize and use a 3-dimensional array, you can use it in this manner, right? Okay, so you declare a 3D array. If you want a float array, you can have y, 2, 4, and 6. Now, whenever you are processing a one-dimensional array, okay, we have seen in the earlier slides that we need to keep track of one iterating variable. So in one-dimensional array, it was very simple. But in two-dimensional array, we may need to keep a 2 variable. Okay, so for example, if you are accessing a matrix, you may have to have 2 for loops, one for the row and one for the column. Okay, because in this the previous case where we saw here, we had seen that we had used only one for loop. Okay, for accessing. ठीक है, but यहाँ पर मेरा जो array है, that was single dimensional. But in case if I'm having a multi-dimensional array, in that case I will need to have a nested for loop. Okay, so can you write a program to declare or to just create a matrix and display it? Okay, so create a multi-dimensional array and display it. So all of you write the program by your own. I will help you out. I will show you the execution of the program. Okay. So I want you to write, create a multi-dimensional array. Okay. Maybe of 2 rows and 2 columns. That also is enough. But in that case, you will have to keep track of 2 variables. Okay. So I just wanted to see the for loop, how you're going to write the for loop. So all of you just write it. Just create a multi-dimensional array. Yes, everyone is writing the program. Please write the program. Just quickly, I just want you to create a multi-dimensional array. It could be either a 2 by 2 matrix or any, and just display it. Has anyone written it? Anyone? You can just raise your hand or put it in the chat box if you have written it. Anyone? Okay, so I will just share my screen. Is the screen visible? At least put yes or no in the chat box. Just put a yes or no. Is my screen visible? Put yes or no in the chat box. Yes. Okay. So you can see here, I have created a multi-dimensional array in which I have taken two cities. That means I have taken two rows, and the number of days in a week, that is 7. Okay. Or maybe the number of weeks is equal to 7. And every week, the temperature of that city is being calculated. So you can visualize this as something like this, that I have this week here. Okay. So I have 2 weeks. You can see here, I have week 1 and sorry, I have city 1, 2 cities. I have 2 cities here, city 1 and city 2, and I have 7 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so you can see that I have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, and week 7. Okay, so this is a 2-dimensional array. Everyone agrees with this? Fine. So now in this case, can you see that I can, for a single dimensional array, I used a single for loop. Whereas if I'm using a multi-dimensional array, then I need to have 2 for loops. Okay. So you can see that I have 2 for loops here. One which is going to iterate for the row, that is for iterating row wise, I have the iterating variable I, and for iterating column wise, I have the variable j. Okay, so can you see here now, j is going to iterate up to the weeks and I is going to iterate for the cities. Now, how does this these for loop work? First, it will execute the outer for loop. Okay, if the outer for loop condition is true, it will go to the inner for loop. It will execute the inner for loop till the inner for loop becomes false. Okay, then it will go for the second iteration of the outer for loop. Okay, so this you are knowing how it is going to execute. So it starts with I is equal to 0. So you know this is 0, this is 1. Here again, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When I is equal to 0, okay, and it is less than the city value, okay, you have given 2 cities. So it is less than that. So it is going to go to the inner for loop. Okay, why? Because this condition is true. Now the value of j is 0. Okay, the value of j is 0 and j less than 7. Okay, it is going to print the city. Okay, in which city, what is the temperature? So it is going to take from the user the value of temperature. So for example, the temperature is 40. Okay, again it is going to increment j. Okay, that means it is going to increment this j value. So now this j value will become 1. Okay, now for this 1, it is going to again execute the inner for loop. See, till now we are executing the inner for loop. It is going to execute till inner for loop becomes false. So it is going to one by one print the temperatures for the city 1 week by week. Okay. So for example, this is the temperature. It is going to print. So when it comes to the value 6, okay, greater than 6. Okay, see here, it is the thread value you have given is less than week. That is, if it becomes 6, it will execute. After it becomes 7, what it will do, it will exit this inner for loop and go to the outer for loop. Now this outer for loop, the value is 1 because you have to increment the outer for loop and execute here. So now you are come to this row. Again, you will go to the inner for loop. So now this is the new inner for loop. Again, j will be initialized to 0 and hence you are going to print these values. So this is how the nested for loop works for a 2D array. Is that clear? So now when you see that if I run this, program, you can see here, it is asking me city 1 day 1 temperature. Okay. So city 1 day 1 temperature, for example, I entered 40. Then city 1 ka day 2. So city 1, that entire row, it is going to ask me the temperature and it is going to take it. Okay. Yes, now it will start with city 2. As soon as the value becomes greater than equal to 6, because city 1 day 7 is the index position 6, right? So then the values for the second city will be displayed. Okay. So then you have to enter for the second city. Right. So these are the values you have entered. Okay. And then this is the values which it is displayed. Whatever values you have entered, again for displaying you have used a nested for loop, but here you are just printing the values. Okay. So this is how you use a nested for loop, okay, to process your multi-dimensional or two-dimensional array. So I hope everyone has understood the use of a single dimensional and multi-dimensional array. Everyone? Okay. Now let us go to something called as character array. Okay. Okay, so now what is a character array? You can have, till now we have seen arrays which were storing integer values, right? Whatever examples we have seen till now, we have used only integer values. You can also have character arrays. Okay, what do we call character arrays? We call character arrays as string. Okay, so strings in C are nothing but character arrays, or you can call them as array of characters, and these array of characters always end with a null character which is denoted by /0. Okay, /o or /0 you can write. Okay, So this is the null character. The null character indicates the end of string. The string has to be always written in double quotes. Okay. Whereas आप single character use कर रहे हो, if you are writing a single character, then you need to have single quotes. Okay. But if you are writing the entire string, then you need to have double quotes. Okay. So if you are creating a character array of 20, you can either write it in this way, indicating all the individual characters. Okay. Or you can write it together in double quotes as a string. Okay. I always told you the size is optional. The size can be always taken from the right hand side. Okay. Whatever data you have entered, the size can be adjusted to, or automatically the size can be taken from the right hand side. Okay. So these are the ways, different ways in which you can write a character array. Okay. Now, the memory space in this case, okay, will be allocated as per what you have written on the right hand side. Okay. So this is optional. Fine. So this is your character array. Okay. If you are writing a character array as individual characters, then you have to write the null character, because a string always ends with a null character. But if you are writing in double quotes, you need not write the null character. Okay. It is automatically done by the compiler. Now, if you have a character array, okay, you can declare it in the same way how you had declared your normal integer array. Okay. So in the same way, like how you had your integer array, you had int, you had the name of the array and the size of array. Similarly, for the character array also, you will have the data type as char, the name of the array and the size. Okay. And the index positions will be from 0 to size -1. Okay. So this is how you will declare a character array. Now, how do you initialize the character array? As I told you in the previous slide also, we have seen these are the various methods to initialize the character array. Okay, so you can either give the individual characters and end with a null character, or you can, if you are using a single character, then you need to specify the null character, or what you can do is you can initialize it as a string in double quotes. Okay. Yes. So in this case, the null character will be automatically added. In this case, you need to write it. Okay. So this is how your data will be stored if you declare a character array and initialize it to Hari. Okay. So it will be HARI and the null character. Okay. So in both the cases, this will be the initialization. Okay. In this case, you have to write the null character. In this case, the compiler will provide it. Okay. Automatically at the end of the string. Now you have seen the processing of single dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. In single dimensional array, you used a single for loop to access the individual elements of the array. In your multi-dimensional array, you have seen that you use a nested for loop to process the rows and the columns. Okay, that means individual index position row wise and column wise. Okay, so you had the outer for loop which was processing your row, and you had the inner for loop which was processing your column. Okay, but that is not the case in your character array. Although your character array is maybe a single dimensional array, okay, but it is the processing is not same
as what you have seen in the integer array or the float array. So here also it will be the element by element. Okay, but can you see here? Now I have taken array of size 6. Okay, why? Because I'm having 6 characters here. And now to print that, have I used a for loop? No. Why? Because the entire character is going to be printed. Okay, it is going to be printed character by character only, but I need not use a for loop. Okay, so the processing of your character array and other numeric arrays, okay, the processing is different. Okay, because you can print the entire string as output using just the printf statement. You need not process element by element. Okay, that means you may need not use the for loop to process it element by element. Okay, so I just want you to write a simple program to take a character array and print it. Okay, so you can write your own program, print your own name. Okay, so I have printed my name, you print your name. Okay, so you can do that. So quickly do that. If anyone has done it, you can also paste your code in the chat box so that we can review it. Anyone who has done it, just a small line of code, you can just write it and put it in the chat box. Whoever puts in the chat box, your name is there. Just print your name or any uh, string in terms of character array and display it. Anyone who has written? Anyone who has written? Just print your name. I will just show you. I'll just help you out.
Okay, so there is right now no need for string.h. So can you see that it is printing my name? Okay. So you need not use a for loop. Okay, processing is different. There is no need for string.h. Okay, so this is the program. So you just print your name and show me the output. So you'll have to take the size as per your name. So anyone has just written this, just 2 lines of code. Anybody? I hope at least you have written your name and printed it using character array. Anyone who has executed, just you can put in the chat. Only these 2 lines. Okay, so she has printed her name. Okay. Only one student has executed. Okay. ठीक है ना? So you have can see here that the processing of character array is different from your other array like integer or float array. Okay, so the processing is different in single dimensional as well as multi-dimensional. Okay, so I hope you have understood that. Good. Okay, now you can pass these arrays to functions. Okay, if you have created any function and you have written some parameters in that function, you can pass arrays to that functions. Similarly, you can pass string to that function. Okay, that means you can pass character array. So we will see here one example of passing character array So you can pass a string that is a character array to a function. Okay. So let us see how we are going to do the passing of these arrays or string to any function. Okay. So now can you see that I have taken two functions here. One is the main and one is the print string function. Okay. Now I have created one array in the main function and I have called this print string function. Okay. So this is just a function call. Let me just make you understand for those who have not see. This is the header file. Okay. This is your main function. This is the main function block. In the main function, always compiler executes main. So your control will always come to the main. Here you can see that you have declared and initialized a character array, which we call as string. I told you the size of the array is always optional. So I have not put here. It will take according to what is on the right hand side. So right hand side pay, whatever number of characters it is going to take, it will automatically adjust the size to that. And then it is calling this function. Okay, so this is a function call made. What is this? This is a function call. Okay, now when I make this function call, that means it is calling some function. Which function it is calling? Print string function. Now when it calls this function, it will go to that function which I have already written here. Okay, now what is this? This is the function call, but this is the function definition. See, your compiler is going to execute the main. Whatever is in the main, it is going to do. Okay, so whenever you are writing this function, if you are calling it in the main, it will execute. If you are not calling it in the main, the compiler will never look at it. Okay, but I have called it, so it will go, it will jump to this statement, and whatever it is executing here, it will do. Okay, so I have written print string and I have passed this entire array as the parameter. So can you see that this str, it is passing here, and what I have written in the function header, this entire character array. Okay, so this is how you pass array, or in this case it is a string, to a function, okay, as a parameter. So this is the parameter, and I have passed this parameter, this entire array. Yes, because str is what in this case? The name of the array. Okay, so I'm passing this as a parameter to this function, and what it is going to do? It is going to print what? It is going to print this value, whatever is written here. So I've written my name, so it is going to print my name. So this is how you can pass a string to a function. Passing your integer array also can be done in the similar manner. Okay, so I hope you have understood passing of string to a function.
Now am I audible? Am I audible to students? Someone has written in the chat box that I was not audible. Am I audible? Okay. Yes. So this is how you can pass string to a function, or you can pass a character array to a function, or any other array which you have declared could be passed to a function as a parameter in a similar manner. Okay. Now let us see string functions. Okay. Now, as I told you that you have a lot of inbuilt functions which are provided by the standard library. So the string functions which you will be studying will be provided by the string.h header file. Okay, so they are having approximately 20 to 22 inbuilt functions which are used to do some manipulations on strings. Okay, so we are not going to study all 20 or 22 of them. We are going to study some of the commonly used functions from the library string.h. Okay, so we will see these functions later on in the next lecture. So till now you have understood from this lecture what do you mean by array, how we are declaring and initializing single dimensional array and multi-dimensional array, and how we are processing them. You have seen character array, how we are initializing and processing character array, and how character array differs from the integer or float array. Okay, so this is what you have studied in this lecture. In the next lecture, we will be studying about the string functions. That means the inbuilt functions which can be used to manipulate string from the standard library, which is the string.h library. Okay, so I will just take your attendance. Just I will I have allowed you to unmute yourself. Please unmute and give your attendance. Okay. Roll number 1. Roll number 1, not there. 2.
Present, ma'am.
3.
Present, ma'am.
4.
Present, ma'am.
5.
Present.
6. 7. 8. 9.
Present, ma'am.
10. 11. 12. 13. 14.
Present.
15. 16.
Present.
16.
Present.
17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23.
Present.
24. 25.
Yes, ma'am.
26.
Present.
Present, ma'am. Ma'am, 18 present.
27.
Yes.
28. 29. 30. 31. 32. 33.
Present, ma'am. 33. 33 present.
34. 35. 36.
Present, ma'am. 36. 36 present.
34. 35.
36.
37. 38. 39. 40.
Present.
Who is that? 40. 40 present है.
Ma'am, 39 present.
39 is present. Okay. What about 40? 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48,
47 present. 47 present.
48.
47, 48 present. 49, 51, 52, 53.
Miss, roll number 17 present.
Ma'am,
Hello. Yes, what are you saying? Okay. So I have marked all your attendance. You can check it in your portal.
ma'am, division B.
Yes. Division B has to write in the chat box. I will be copy. You have to write UIN number space और आपका पूरा नाम. ऐसा करके आपको chat box में लिखना है. I have to copy paste that and madam will enter it. So when she will enter, you will get the response in your CMC. So I request the B division to put it in the chat box. B division. Have you understood B division?
Ma'am, repeat.
B division students have to put their attendance in the chat box. Don't put B division 31 present. Please write your UIN number, space and your full name. UIN number और full name लिखना है आपको. I think I shared the whiteboard. Yes, all of you can just put your numbers or names on the whiteboard. That will be better. So I can capture that whiteboard. Yes, you can write your name and roll number. That's it. So I will just share the whiteboard with you. You need to type it. Don't scribble. Please don't scribble that.
will just share this whiteboard.